This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Zim, how you doing, man? It's good to hear from you.
Oh, what's up, Phil? Miss you, man. Hadn't got to see you in a week or so, and I always get to see Matt. Matt comes through the foundation and sees us, so nice to be on with y'all.
Coach Z, man, it's always a joy to converse with you, man. Love talking with you. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a tough couple days, for us basketball folks. It's been a hard time the last couple days, but you know what? You got final exams, a whole lot of gym time, a lot of work. Both these teams get better and move on starting Saturday and win down in North Little Rock. Get this bad taste out of your mouth and start winning some games again.
Where can things turn around? Where do you see? Look, I think Saturday's game against Oklahoma has a lot to do with OU just being a really, really good defensive team that worked to get buckets. It does have something to do with Arkansas struggling in some areas where maybe we've seen them struggle before. Where do you think they can improve quicker than maybe some other areas?
I think that the defense, which at times has been really good, like it was so good against Duke, it was good. The first couple, it was great against Purdue. I know it was an exhibition game, but it was great against Purdue. But the defense has got to be something that Coach can rely on and know that, hey, we're not, we're going to play great defense. We're going to hold people under 80 points or under 75 or whatever he thinks he can get with this team. And the defense is, I think, an area that's this program, the last 3 years, this first year was not as good a defensive team, but it got to where it was playing good defense, especially guarding the three-point line. But the next three teams all play pretty good defense. And so, to me, that's what's got to get going. These guys got some guys that can shoot. You got some guys that can score. You got a lot of depth. There was 11 Razorbacks played the other day. There's only been 6 or 7 since Coach has been here. He's playing 10 guys a half generally. So there's positives, but I think the number one thing is the defense and guarding the three-point line a little better and guarding drives. Oklahoma, I was surprised. We knew they were pretty good, but didn't know this Javion McCullum and even Oway, that those guys would be able to drive as much as they were able to. And then that created open threes, and that created kickouts. Oklahoma was good, and what you said was right on. That was a good Oklahoma team. They're 9-0, and Arkansas's got work to do.
Yeah, Coach, do y'all do that old shell drill on the concept of defense, of kind of staying in between the ball and your man and kind of being able to help defense? I agree with you, being able to play defense better as a team, as a unit, and then that leads to easier baskets. You're able to get some easy points through your defense. But speaking of, all the new guys in the portal, who's kind of stood out for you? Because I'm a big Layden Blocker fan, and I know he's a true freshman, but just seeing him grow and get better, it seems like each week.
Yeah, Blocker has done a good job. He wasn't in the rotation much at all the first 4 games, and we lost to Greensboro, and I think that loss got Coach really stirred about, hey, I've got to find something else, something new, something to ignite this team. And then we go to the Bahamas, and I think Coach surprised everybody. The day before, he in practice, he had told that, hey, Blocker's going to get to play more. I'm going to give him a chance. And then he stood by that, and he got to play a lot in that very first game, which was, luckily we got it. Stanford team, double overtime win. We wouldn't have won that game without the way Blocker played. And from that point on, he's earned minutes. I think Coach loves the way the energy he brings, whether it's starting or coming off the bench. The other day it was coming off the bench, and he can do things on defense at some of the, he can block shots, he changes shots. He's a high-energy guy. And, Layden can shoot it too. He shoots it pretty good. We've not seen a whole lot of threes from him, but he's a pretty good shooter. He's a guy, to me, I look at him, he's different than Devo, but he's got a chance to be kind of the next type of Devo. An Arkansas kid, it means something to him. And he could play here for 4 years. He looks like that to me, and I think that his offense is going to continue to grow. He's got to get to where he can still get in the paint and then boom, hit open teammates and make good passes. And he's still growing in that part. But He can drive, and he can shoot it pretty good. He's going to be a good player here, but the other guys obviously battle. He is so good, and he's got to get a little better on the defensive end of guys driving. But, man, he can shoot. He can get to the basket. He's money at the foul line for the most part. And then Tremont Mark, to me, he's my favorite one because he's a pretty good defensive player, and he's got a mid-range. Matt,
oh my goodness, it's so dirty.
Dirty. And Matt, when he shoots it, when he misses, you're like, dang, he missed a pull-up. I mean, he's so
His
good.
touch, that soft touch, that arc on it. Oh my goodness, you're right.
And guys on him. He's driving, and the other day against OU, there was a point where Owe, number 3, was all over him, a strong guard, and he just created a little separation with a sidestep. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to be able to get this off. By the time he rose up and shot it, he was a foot and a half over the defender and made the shot. And it's a surprise to me when he misses the pull-up. He's so good. Now, he's not been shooting the 3 that good yet, but he's another guy that can drive. But those guys are good, and they just got to continue. The whole team's got to continue to come together, get better. It's a long 5-month basketball season. We're in month 2. I know they've been practicing every day since the end of May, but as far as games, it's a 5-month season of games, and they're in month 2 now. So now you kind of start seeing the progress, hopefully.
I feel like watching Saturday, there's an understanding of how important a healthy Trevin Brazile is to this team. It was pretty obvious. I think it's great that he was even able to run, the same week that he had what was described as a severe ankle sprain, but he just wasn't the same player. Maybe it takes another week or so to get back there, but without him, I'm not sure how good they are. With him, I think they can be a pretty darn good team.
Yeah, we need him because he's so versatile and he can shoot the ball. He was shooting the ball well from the 3 and hitting mid-range and playing at a pretty high level. And then Saturday during warm-up, he didn't do much during practice all week. He was very limited for what he could do. And then Saturday, I'm there like 3 hours before the game, and when the team gets there, they're usually there an hour and a half to hour and 50 minutes before tip. And he comes out, and he's running and jumping and dunking, and I was like, gosh, he looks good coming off his ankle injury. And you were so hopeful. And he started, but he just was not himself. He doesn't score a point, had 1 rebound. And coach was only able to get 15 minutes out of him. So I do think that impacted our rotation, and that especially on offense, it impacted our flow. And then on the defensive end, we still blocked 6 shots. We didn't have any block. We're blocking anywhere from 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 shots every game. And you take Trevin out, that's one of our best shot blockers. And so it impacted both ends. And I do think that had an impact on the ball game. Oklahoma was good, man. I thought that they had, just by watching them quite a bit and watching something like I'd watched all their Providence game, I'd seen all their USC game that they'd won those games, but they played better defense than I thought they would. And you could see it early on. We couldn't get around them. And we got some guys that can drive, and we had a hard time driving around them. And it seemed like the last few seconds of every shot clock, we were having to kind of take a tough contested 3-pointer or a shot late in the clock because they were guarding us good. And then you know what else they did? They went and snatched a defensive rebound. And one time we got an offensive rebound in the first half, and we hit a bucket right after. So offensive rebounding is very important. That's an area we got to continue to get better at. But for the most part, OU did a good job on the defensive glass, and I was impressed with their defense. And we only scored 20 baskets. There's not going to be too many Arkansas basketball teams. Coach Muss here, there are not going to be too many times we have 20 baskets. It's usually, 28 to 40 baskets made. So give OU credit for the defense they played. That's why they won the game.
Coach, when somebody like Coach Musselman gets tossed, kind of gets a red card to use a soccer term, and then you got some of the assistant coaches and Keith Smart, and then a former teammate of mine, one of the smartest players that I know, in Ronnie Brewer.
Right.
How does that message change? What kind of happens? What's the chain of command when somebody like Muss kind of goes off? Who's kind of delivering the message?
Yeah, definitely Keith. He's been a NBA head coach. He's been a successful college player. and so much experience in coaching. He's really good with our players. I mean, it was a great hire by Coach Musselman. He's been here 3 years now. I think back to the LSU game that kind of turned our season. I think it was January 15th of 2020. Was that 2021? No, it was 2022 when Muss went out with the shoulder surgery, rotator cuff, and we were struggling. We were a team that had not found its path yet. And Coach Smart took over, and he went home to Baton Rouge and did a great job on that trip. And a calm in how he handles the players is so good year-round. And we went down there and beat a pretty good LSU team, and that kind of flipped that season. And I think, like the other day, everyone knows, all the players know, all the staff knows that when if something happens where Coach Muss is not there, then, Coach Smart's going to take over and does a good job. And but we were so far behind. We were down 19 points in the second half. Coach Smart did a good job. Coach Ruda, all of them to kind of keep us in there. We cut it to 12. We cut it to 10. We ended up losing by 9. Now we were pressing the heck out of them at the end. And I love this team. I think as far as they could press, I think this could be a very pressing team. That's just not really what we do. But we threw the press on. Now they had a lot of their backups in there. We were stealing the ball in the press, ended up losing by 9. But Keith does a good job. It's a good staff, and they'll get this team figured out for sure. There's absolutely no doubt in that.
On the women's side, Mike's dealing with a completely different issue, and it's just a lack of available players. I think you go to pretty much 6 players right now. I think the starting 5 are playing feels like 90% of the minutes. They scored all the points against UAPB. Jersey Wolfenbarger transfers before the season starts. Yeah. We're like, all right, well, we got Sasha Goforth, and then Sasha leaves the team because of her stomach ailment again, and that's just awful for her and for the program. And Emery Ellis goes out with an elbow injury, and it's just, I know Mike thought he had a pretty deep team before the season started, but here it is, it's November, and the depth basically has either left the team or they've been hurt, and I don't know where the depth comes from now.
Yeah, well said, and love Coach Neighbors and what he's trying to build and get back to here, and it's just been tough with all that you just said. When Jersey left, you're like, well, how much is this really going to impact? Because you think back to the summer, it was a lot of talk. Hey, we're going to press and we're going to get after people and we're going to be able to play a lot of people and have this deep bench, and then it just happened so fast. Boom, Jersey leaves, and like you said, Sasha not being there. Emery was hurt early in the season. She's a big player that tries to compete and battle. She can step out and shoot a little bit. She's a good passer. She's a good stringer. She was out early. She came back, and that helped. And then, boom, now she's been hurt and misses the game yesterday. And so it has been a challenge for the staff trying to create some more depth and get some more bench play. And that reared its head against Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff's good. They were better than I thought they were going to be. And Dawn Thornton, the coach there, and this field, we've played them before, they've kind of gotten a little better every year since she's been there. She's a good recruiter, and she's brought in good players. And this girl they had yesterday, she was the real deal. And then you throw Kariah Beck in there, and she played pretty well, Corey's daughter, and they just kind of had the recipe. But at halftime, I'm sitting there, and we're up 10 points. So you feel pretty good. You're like, man, we played pretty good. And Pine Bluff, you can tell, has got a pretty good team. But what a clinic that Pine Bluff had in the third quarter, 28 points. And that flipped the whole game. And then you knew when the third quarter ended, this is a 61-60. And you're like, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle down the stretch. And they end up making a few more shots. The fourth quarter was different than the third. It was different than the second. It was a grind. It's just hard to score for both teams. And they outscored the Razorbacks 14-9. But that was a tough one. Talia Scott, though, continues to be a star, incredible scorer. Had a little turnovers yesterday, but she's just shoulders so much of the load for this team. And that was a tough loss. I felt for the staff, but they got to learn from it. They got to grow. They got to have a good week of practice. They play Samford. I saw Alabama beat Samford pretty bad in women's basketball. So hey, let's go get after Samford.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.